I'm Sharon, Gilfoyle. I'm the Recovery Project Manager for CPFT.
I'm Adele McCormac, Commissioning and Contracts Manager for Mental Health at Cambridge and Peterborough CCG. So my colleague Emma Tiffin spoke earlier and we were talking about, as a CCG, what could we do to make a more resilient system? We all know that mental health services had historically been underfunded, but the parity of esteem investment really provided us opportunities to create a more responsive system of care. We quite often say to everybody, if we'd have just bought more of the same, it wouldn't have made any difference. Because if we'd have just used the increased investment to increase capacity in services, in a few months' time, we'd be faced with the same position with the same system pressures. What we actually really needed to do was to improve the flow within the system. We needed to make sure that services were available at the right time for the people who need it. Because with mental health and the transient nature of mental health, people need to have a responsive service to actually improve their mental well-being. And we receive regular feedback all the time about issues relating to discharge and re-access to mental health services. Often the fear of discharge was about the number of hoops that they would have to jump back through when they reached a crisis point to re-access services. And all these hoops are put in place because they're trying to protect the demand and capacity on the services. We had to change this, we had to do something different. But we recognise, in order to improve patient flow, that actually sometimes people needed extra support to transition out of services. It's a really frightening time to go from having this formalised support into the next step. We also knew that people were frightened of what that next step was. Staff, clinicians, service users, carers also felt that they didn't feel that the next step was very clear to them. So we did a lot of work with our third sector and with CPFT partners to align those pathways so that when people are being discharged from CPFT services, that the help and support still continues within third sector organisations and within the communities. And we also needed to realise that we needed to have better knowledge of alternative community resources. Charlotte touched very nicely upon actually the support that people can get from their communities and how that can help manage people's, maintain people's mental well-being. So we took all of this into consideration, and all this information, we did numbers of workshops, consultations with CPFT, third sector, people who are using the services currently, carers, etc., etc. And what came out of it was an idea of a recovery coach model. And I'll pass you over to Sharon, who'll be able to tell you more about that.
Last week I met somebody within the Recovery College who came up to me and said, Sharon, I'm so excited about the Recovery College team model. What is really exciting is I have been in services for many years, and it feels a little bit about standing on the edge of a cliff when I'm being discharged. And she said her care coordinator gently pushes her, but it still feels like it's a huge, huge fall. You know, will there be people that she could talk to about how she's feeling? Can she re-access quickly? She said to me that often when she needs to re-access services, and she is someone that comes in and out of services quite a lot, that actually it's hard to get back in. Even if she can get in through the GP, it takes a while to access CPFT services again. And it feels so much of a drop, and it doesn't feel safe. And again, as care coordinators, often people hold on to people because we're worried. We create that dependency in services, or we have over years, because we're worried about what are the resources in the community, are people going to be okay? And she said to me, I can see the recovery coaching team being a more gradual step out of services. So it's more like a slope out of services than feeling it's like on a cliff edge. And I thought that was quite a nice analogy, really. So the recovery coaching team is a service that I've been working alongside our commissioners and third party and third sector organisations to help set up, really. We've just appointed a recovery coach coordinator who's Emma Green, so she'll be a fantastic appointment. She starts in a couple of weeks in post. And over the last few days, we've been shortlisting for the rest of the team. And we're going to have 3 recovery coaches, and that's one in Cambridge, one in Peterborough, and one in Central to cover kind of Fenland and Huntingdon. and 6 whole-time equivalent peer support workers, I think, as Emma has already mentioned. But potentially that could be up to 12 or more peer support workers. And we're also going to have an apprentice business administrator, which we approached our commissioners and said, can we have a bit more money to have an administrator? So a really, really strong team. And I think what's the really powerful message for me is how many people have called to say, please, can I be part of this team? So in all the years I've been a manager, I had the most unprecedented amount of calls for these posts. And that tells me something, that actually people are very excited about working in a very different way and knowing how difficult it is in this kind of period of limbo, being discharged from secondary to primary care. So the role, what will the role be? How will it be different? So it's going to help people with their discharge planning and barriers to accessing services and community activities. We need to do a lot more work within secondary services around discharge planning, around crisis planning, collaborative crisis plans. And we hope that this will help the trust to think about how we do that better. It's bridging the gap between all services, so there's a foot in all camps. Commissioners were very clear to me that actually we may be hosting this from the Recovery College, but actually we want people to be sitting in third sector organisations. So in Mind, Enrichment Fellowship, in Lifecraft, they want people to actually be based in those teams, which is really exciting. And third sector are very, very, very encouraged by that. I'm very excited. It's about working alongside people to help them achieve their goals, dreams, ambitions, pulling on their strengths. So it's very recovery focused. Everything is around recovery. And also one of the things that we've talked about, and we've talked about this in navigating rocky waters as well, is the worry about people reaccessing. They worry that actually if there's a problem, if there's a bump in the road, how do they get back in? So the recovery coaching model will help people reaccess, whether that's just a quick appointment with a consultant, a talk about something, relook at kind of discharge planning. That's part of the role too. And I think one of the things, there was lots of discussions to start with, I understand, around this is going to be called like community navigating scheme. And then we came on the kind of coaching paradigm, really. And I think this fits beautifully. Coaching, recovery is all based on kind of strengths, well-being, inner resilience. And there's many different types of coaching, really. In the trust, we're using a health coaching model, and we've got some excellent results that we're seeing happen with that, really. But there's things like wellness, recovery, life coaching. So we want to look at what's the right model for this team. And health coaching is also referred as wellness coaching. It is a process that facilitates healthy, sustainable behaviour change by challenging a client, person, to develop their inner wisdom, identify their values and transform their goals into action. So it's not about problems, it's not about diagnosis, it's not about, you know, what's the struggles, it's about how do we help you and work alongside you to overcome those. And Adele and I have been working to try and see if we can get the whole team set up as a coaching accredited team, which will be one of the first in the UK to have the whole team accredited. And I think from certainly the applications that we've been looking at this week, it's attracting many people with lived experience into these roles. So it may be that the team, almost kind of 90-100% of the team, are made up of people with lived experience, which is really exciting. At the moment, if anyone wants any information, it's myself until Emma starts in a few weeks' time.
Thank you.